Hey, it's Nancy Juetten. Happy 2020. Happy New Year. So excited to welcome a cheerful, happy, abundant year for myself and for you as well. So it's a brand new year, and you know what that means? Marie Kondo is having her way with Americans and people around the world with the magic art of tidying up. And what I would say is now is an even better time to take an opportunity to get your personal finances and important papers organized. Because you know something? When you open up a drawer to find your socks and unmentionables neatly organized by color and style, that certainly can help you get dressed faster and on the road to whatever life has in store for you. But when the rubber meets the road, if you cannot find the important documents you need to unlock your life when it's a clutch moment, now that's what I call organizing that is a sock drawer of a completely different color. When it comes to having power, access, and control over your finances, that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's what I wanted to spend a few minutes talking with you about, especially now that you are probably in the mode, like so many people, that you want to get organized so that you can have an abundant and fabulous new year. So maybe you know someone whose life was completely turned upside down when there was a sudden divorce, a death, a disability, a surprise. And maybe they found that their financial life was completely upside down as well because they were caught with their pants around their ankles instead of around their waist at the worst possible time. Everyone knows someone where she's paying all the bills and maybe he can't find the butter in the refrigerator to save his life. Or maybe the opposite is true. Either way, what we know for sure is that 7 out of 10 women will at one point or another be 100% responsible for managing the personal finances in the households of their lives. And the truth is a great many of them are ill-equipped to do so if they had to do it today. That's a fact. One woman who I read about in a book called Beyond the Grave by Jeffrey Condon, Esquire, said that her exit plan was to make sure that she died first so that she didn't have to handle the household bookkeeping. And this she said after being happily married to the husband of her, who was the love of her life for 45 years. AARP reports that 6 out of 10 families do not have a current will in place. 6 out of 10 do not have a current will in place. That means there are a great many families who are set up to leave a big fat mess for their families to clean up later. I don't know about you, but that is the last thing I want to do if something random or crazy should happen to me. I want everything to be neat and tidy so that my family can manage life and get on with life and know that I was looking out for them even before I left. Most folks agree that it's a good idea to create a will. Sometimes people get diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses and they know that they have urgency to get it done, but for some reason they don't do it. And they also don't organize their finances so that their family can help them out with bill paying and managing the household and doing that sort of thing. What is it about people that prevents them from stopping to do something that is so important and helpful to people in so many different reasons, so many different ways? I say it's this crazy cocktail of fear, denial, and procrastination that stops people in their tracks. Some people are just afraid of what they might find out. Some people are denying that any of this could ever happen to them. And some people would just rather do anything than spend an afternoon or a couple of hours getting their paperwork together. They'd rather go get eyelash extensions applied, or they'd rather go to a movie, or they'd rather watch their favorite television program. They'd rather do anything than spend time organizing paperwork, even when the paperwork can be so life-changing and so important in important moments. What I would say is that it's important to get this done and to get your big girl underpants around your waist instead of your ankles, because even though when you're young and beautiful and you're standing in the eyes of your beloved and saying, I'm going to be with you in sickness and health and good times and in bad, and when the rubber meets the road, 40 years later, when things start to get a little bit weird and you can't find what you need when you need it, that's when you've got a serious problem on your hands. Because you know what? You could be locked out, you could be disempowered, and you could be frustrated having to deal with whatever life has served up because you can't find what you need when you need it. and this is not something I want for you. With as many passwords and social media accounts and investment accounts and assets and other things to assemble and wishes to discuss, there's a whole lot more than fear, procrastination, and denial going on. And what that would be is overwhelm. Overwhelm is absolutely a factor. I can't change any of that for you, but what I can suggest is that if you could just take this on as a crucial project that would be an act of love for your family and a great service to yourself, that could make a world of difference when it really matters. If you are lucky enough to be in smooth sailing mode, where everything in your life seems to be going well, the kids are all right, the husband's all right, the spouse is all right, the parents are okay, there's nothing really going on that's really earth-shattering, consider that a great blessing and take the opportunity to do some of this while you still can, when you don't have the additional drama, trauma, and chaos of the D's, disaster, death, divorce, etc., to play havoc on your mindset and your ability to function. I don't know about you, but I'm not that great in a crisis. So I want to know where things are so I can function. And if that's your situation, hopefully the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment are going to be really timely and useful. What I would say to you is that if you could designate a rainy day coming up soon where you and your family can organize your finances in a very practical, tactical way, you will never regret it. And if spending an entire Saturday or a few hours on a Saturday seems like too much to take on, what about an hour or two a week for as long as it takes to get the job done? Better to do this when things are in smooth sailing mode and you can feel the sense of accomplishment of moving through the different road stops than to never get it done and have a big fat mess on your hands at the worst possible time. So that's my suggestion to you. And now I have a couple of practical, tactical, eye-opening tips that can help you right now to do at least one thing today, or one thing this week, or one thing this month that you will be so glad that you did. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Number one. In today's modern family, there can be a first spouse, a second spouse, and maybe even a third spouse. And there may be very complicated blended families that have taken shape through the act of love. So what I would say is now is a really good time to update your beneficiary designations on your life insurance and other important investments. Because you know what? If you don't do that, and something random or crazy happens and someone's life is extinguished when you least expected it, and you were expecting to be the recipient of all that wealth, and you found out that the spouse before you was getting everything, that would be a bitter surprise. I know for myself, when I was a young married person, came home from the honeymoon and husband said, please, let's get some life insurance. So I was 25 years old. And I said, okay, let's get some life insurance. And all I knew is that I wanted my husband to be my beneficiary. And I didn't have any children at the time, so I designated my sister to be my secondary beneficiary. Well, just last year, we moved to a whole new city, and we had to change all of our addresses and make sure all our correspondents found us at our new address. And as I was dealing with my insurance company, not only did I share my change of address, but I took the opportunity to ask, just curious, what decisions did I make with regard to my beneficiary designations so many years ago? And they told me that my sister was my secondary beneficiary. Well, just imagine my son's bitter surprise if something should happen to me and he would find out that my sister would inherit everything I own because I forgot to update my beneficiary designations. I just used that as a trigger point to make sure that my son was included. And, you know, things you decided 22 years ago may not be valid today or reflective of what your wishes are right now. So when you move or when there's a triggering event, take the opportunity to revisit those beneficiary designations and make sure they're up to date across all your investment accounts, your banks, your insurance coverage, and so on. You'll be so glad that you did. It will clear things up for those future occasions where fog is not what you want. Another tip. Many of us are dealing with aging parents. Some of our aging parents are dealing with dementia or diminished mental capacity, things of this nature. And it can be awkward and difficult to approach end-of-life conversations. to see what their wishes might be and so on. What my suggestion is to approach these conversations so that they can be more about life than about death. Say something like, hey, if you should trip and fall and not be able to handle the household and the bills or for whatever reason, I want to be able to step in and help you out for that limited time only where you need that extra help. Can we talk about giving me access to your accounts so that I can look after you until you get better? That's more about life than about death, and it makes the conversation a little bit easier to start. Now, here's another practical tactical tip. Maybe you've been receiving beautiful jewelry and artwork and other valuables to celebrate life's grand occasions like Mother's Day, birthday, anniversary, other wonderful milestones of life. Well, now's a good time to assemble receipts, appraisals, and even take pictures of your beautiful valuables. Because you know what? There are crazy people out there that are burglarizing homes every single day. And this I speak from personal experience. Over the last 15 years, homes we've lived in have been burglarized twice. And that is 2 clean sweeps of the jewelry drawer that have been just horrible to contend with. If there was any silver lining in this, is that I had receipts, appraisals, and pictures of whatever I had, so that when it came time to make a claim with the insurance company, I could be made whole. If you do not have those points of proof, you may suffer a second loss because the insurance company may not honor your claim. Again, this is more about life than about death, and about protecting yourself from crazy random things that happen to nice people when we least expect it. So take the opportunity to update your jewelry situation. And if you're one of those folks that's lucky to have a $30,000 diamond ring on your left hand and it doesn't have insurance, well, make a note to talk to your insurance person today to make sure it's covered, because it could fall out of its setting tomorrow, and that would be a bitter surprise on all kinds of levels. All right, are you learning some things? Are you enjoying this? All right. This is, again, practical and tactical. Make sure if you're a homeowner that both folks, if you're a married couple, are named on the utility accounts. Because the last thing you want to have happen is it's cold outside, the pipes are freezing, the power is out, and you call your utility company to tell them that the power is out, and the person on the other end of the line says, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, I'm not authorized to speak with you because your name is not on the account. Please get your husband to call so we can help you. What is this, 1955? Don't let this happen to you. Make sure that the next round of bill paying, you make sure you put both of your names on the accounts so that either one of you can ask for help and get it when you need it, when the power is out or something else might be happening to the household where you need service providers to come out and come to your aid. My final tip is to assemble passwords and access credentials for investment accounts, bank accounts, Bitcoin, and other assets, including how to access your partner's cell phone. Because when the rubber meets the road, if you cannot access the money and the contacts and the people you need to alert, that's going to add a whole level of stress to whatever life has served up that could be easily avoided if you simply had access to those important assets. So what is it that I want you to do based on what it is we've talked about right now? The first thing relates to your mindset. If you're lucky enough to be in a drama-free zone where everything is fabulous and smooth sailing, celebrate that and decide to take an epic journey of discovery to get your act together before life hits a bump in the road. Consider it, as I say, an eye-opening journey of discovery to start conversations that might have been delayed for way too long. You might be drawn closer to your partner or your family by having these conversations. You might learn that grandma's dining room table is not one that you want to have your name on it, and maybe your sister would love it better. There's all kinds of things you can learn if you just have the courage to start these conversations. And remember that it's more about life than about death. And if you're lucky enough to be in life, just do the best you can with what you have so that you don't have to leave a big mess for your family to clean up later. If you're eager to get started on the path to this journey of discovery, we offer a free Get Your Act Together Getting Started template. And all you need to do is visit www.juetten, lifegoesonroadmap.com and download it right away and share it with your family and those that you love, and start a conversation about how you're going to get your act together with your own version of the magic art of tidying up. Thank you, Marie Kondo. You might be asking, like, why did we start this thing in the first place, and why does it matter? Well, it's very personal. You know, a couple of years ago, 3 women in my life had their lives turned upside down by sudden divorce, death, and diagnosis. And being a woman of a certain age, it occurred to me that I could be next. Something random or crazy could happen where I would be responsible for everything my husband and I have worked so hard to achieve. And I had to admit that I didn't know how to access everything I needed in order to do that. So I asked my husband, who happens to be a certified financial planner, all I want for Christmas is power, access, and control to the rest of our lives. That's what I want. And so together we put our heads together and we created a beautiful 16 road stop system called the Life Goes On Roadmap that has since empowered hundreds and hundreds of families to take a road trip with us to get their acts together so they never have to worry about the mess that might be left behind. It's been an incredibly rewarding ride to see families thank us for guiding them to get this done, and we've even figured out a way to make it fun. I'm so glad we started this journey because we've touched and transformed many, many lives, and we have only just begun to fight. So again, it's the start of a new year. Getting organized is important. Yes, the socks and unmentionables need to be organized, but don't forget about your important documents, your financial information, your household operations, even how to turn on and off the boat in case you're not available to turn it on. These kinds of practical, tactical things will be a great blessing to those that need to have access, and they'll consider it a great gift that you gave them so that they can drive life forward no matter what happens. Because here's what we know for sure. Everything's fine and dandy until it's not. Life is what happens while we're making other plans, and tomorrow isn't a promise. So let's make the most of every day, and let's get started by getting our acts together before life hits a bump in the road. My name is Nancy Juetten. It's been my pleasure to be with you today. Please share this video with others you think can benefit, and I look forward to seeing you on a road of life that is cheerful, abundant, and full of great epic adventures still to come, because mindset really does make it matter. All right, thanks so much. Until next time, bye-bye.